Entrepreneur's Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, so the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneur's Enigma. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. I am, as always, your host, Seth. Today, I have Beate Chelette. She is the growth architect. When I think of architect, I think matrix, like the architect and how you grow. And, she is a former journalist. She has a passion for photography. She is the founder of the Women's Code and provides visionaries and leaders with strategies that grow your authority so that they can scale their impact. And she actually sold a very successful global business to Bill Gates. That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. And she's an international award-winning bestseller on Amazon of Happy Woman, Happy World, which I do agree with. I agree with that. I'm very strong believer in happy wife, happy life as well. So let's bring her in here. How's it going?
It is going very well. Thank you so much for having me, Seth. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes. So how did this all get started? You're originally from, I think you said you're from Munich, right?
Yes, I'm
I got it
originally from
right.
Munich.
Oh, I'm on a
Yeah,
roll
you
today.
did.
That's nice.
Great.
You're originally from Munich, so some of the best beer in the world.
And pretzels. Don't you
Oh,
be leaving
definitely
out
have
my
good pretzel.
pretzels.
Yeah, but I'm from Philly, so I can.
Okay, fine. You got
All
a
right,
point there.
fine. We'll leave that one alone. But still, Munich has good pretzels, but the beer is fantastic. Lederhosen, all that good stuff.
I still have a pair, believe it or not.
You got it. It's your
Yeah.
heritage.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%. Yes.
absolutely. If anything, it makes a good Halloween costume. So, which is
To the
coming up.
embarrassment, back then, to the embarrassment of my daughter, who couldn't believe
Oh,
I was going like that, but I did, and everybody loved it but her.
I'm sure. And you're supposed to torment your kids. It's
That's
kind of like
exactly
they
right.
torment
If
us,
they're
we
not
torment
embarrassed
them.
by you, you haven't done a good job.
Exactly. I'm very good at my 11-year-old. I'm very good at embarrassing them. So you came over to the United States as a single parent and you bootstrapped your photography business, which is kind of cool. 'Cause, I mean, being a parent in general is tough. Now you emigrated. One of those. Emigrated to the United States. Single parent. You had one kid at the time, right?
Well, I actually immigrated by myself. So I
Oh, okay.
was I was in my early 20s. I had then fallen in love with an American man and got married and then had my child here. And the only issue that this man had, he was perfect with two minor flaws. He was an alcoholic and a pathological liar.
Ooh,
And
those are bad. Those are bad.
it's
Yeah,
a it's a really terrible combination.
and
So
not
by the
good.
time I figured it out, I was a single parent after a massive recession,
Oh,
having to figure out how I'm gonna make money, run my business, and then I was laid off.
oh
Um,
no.
yeah, so the whole
And
9
you had to
yards.
worry about it. It's not like doing this on your own when you have a little one at home. It's like it's more than stressful, to say the least, trying to make ends meet. So how did this all get started in
It,
general?
literally started like that.
Yeah.
I was unemployable, it was a massive recession, there were fires, floods, riots, then the big earthquake came, and
They all
I
piled on, yeah.
I mean, it literally was just piling on, and so I had to figure out how I was gonna make it on my own. And I had been a photography representative and a producer for still photography, so I very quickly had clients like Levi's,
Ooh,
Wrangler, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and a lot of European companies that came to Los Angeles to produce when it was too cold to shoot in Europe.
it gets a little cold
And
there, or at least it used to.
no, it's still
It still gets
the
cold there up there?
yeah, you can shoot in the winter, a photo shoot for summer with
Yeah,
summer
it doesn't work.
clothes in because there's no foliage on the trees, so it
That's true, it
wouldn't
kinda
work.
gives it away, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so that gives it away. And that's how it all started.
We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show. Oh, that's wild. And then long and behold, you sold the business to Bill Gates. How did that happen?
Yeah, so, the stock photography business started after I lost the artist representation and the production business. And I
Okay.
lost the photography business due to a lawsuit with a very bad employee who got too close to a key vendor that started their own business without me.
Oh,
And then
no.
the I lost the production business in September 11th. So within 24 hours, I lost a half a million dollars in income that had been booked, and it was irrevocably gone. So I had to come up with something really quickly, Seth, to figure out how I'm gonna
You had to
how I'm gonna
hustle.
how I'm gonna hustle. Yes.
My
And that's
goodness.
how the stock photography business was born, but I had no money. The lawsuit settled. It was settled for, literally 0. I mean, once I had paid my debt, I had nothing, and then I had to
Yeah.
start all over again. And then I built this thing as fast as I could, but I was $135,000 in debt, and then I thought that I was going to probably not going to make it. I'm flying to Germany. I, try to drum up my business. My dad has a stroke. My father did
Oh
not
my
have a
oh my god,
stroke.
it keeps going.
It just kept going, Seth, and going and going, and then my dad had pancreatic cancer, though,
Oh,
so
oh,
he dies.
no.
While I'm at the funeral, the phone rings, and it's my office in Los Angeles telling me that we are losing the house,
Oh, no, oh my god.
and that was one of these defining moments that we often hear about in entrepreneurial stories where somebody said, "Well, how'd you make it through it?" Well, I kind of had to surrender, and I had to say, "Well, I've done everything I could. I let it go." I come back, I get a letter from the White House, from the
Oh,
President of the United States.
okay, good news?
Yeah, well, the president sends his best wishes.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
yeah, well, for whatever that's worth. But what it did do, it put me in touch with the Small Business Administration,
Ooh,
and
yeah,
they went and took my business plan and they helped me to make the business plan better. And
nice.
then found me a bank that was restructuring my $135,000 in debt into a 10-year fixed loan that freed up
Perfect.
my line of credit. That brought me to break even 3 months later. That's how close it was, Seth. 3 months between bankruptcy and break even. And then
Holy
18
moly.
18 months later, I'm the world leader in my category. That's how the Bill Gates company comes and says, "Can you tell us how you do it?" And I said, "No." They said, "Well, what do you want?" I said, "You want it, you buy it." I said, "Fine. How much?" I said, "Millions." They said, "Fine."
That's lovely. Well, talk about a turnaround story. Jeez.
Yes, major
A
turnaround.
3-month turnaround, well, not 3 months turnaround story, but, like, from bankruptcy to, like, solvency, no, solvency, is that the right word? To being
18
solvent,
months.
yeah, that's the right word, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and you're none for the wear.
Uh,
Ugh.
I will tell you that this is definitely a story of resilience and
Mhm.
perseverance and not giving up. But I always have this ruling thought that I think if it's possible, it must be possible for me.
Yeah.
If it's possible for me, then my question isn't can I, but how can I? And that puts me into
Mm.
action and that makes it so much better.
Because figuring out the how and the why and all that, and figuring out, like, "Alright, here's the steps I need to do to get to this point." You just
100%.
don't jump at it and say, "I'm gonna go at it." You're gonna figure out your steps and get to the point where you can actually succeed, and now you're a best-selling author. You have, you've worked for amazing brands,
I
and
do.
I'm sure you're not embarrassing your daughter as much anymore with the
No,
leadership.
no, 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 no. My daughter now is 31. She's a mom on her own now. And
She can
I
appreciate
think,
what you went through.
well, I mean, now that she has to figure out how she's going to make money with a
Yeah,
newborn that needs to be with her 24/7, I
yeah,
think there's a different appreciation of how difficult this really is when you
it's tough.
when you when you when you try to figure this out on your own.
I can't even imagine. Like, it's just, and it's now you look back on it, and it's a story of resilience, and to your credit, you're still an entrepreneur. A lot of people say, "Forget this, I gotta get a job, I gotta go flip burgers, I gotta go do something else just to get started," and they throw the towel in.
Well,
Yeah.
the question always is in spirituality or in mindset, if you really study the universal laws of success of what that actually is,
Mhm.
you'll recognize that the ruling thought is you have to make a decision. It doesn't
Mhm.
say you need to make a wish. It doesn't say you need to evaluate opportunities. It says you make a decision. Because
Mhm.
once you make a decision, then you have a commitment that you made to yourself to actually execute on that decision. So if people
Mhm.
say, well, this time I'm going to get fit, that's a wish
Mhm.
or that's a decision. The
Mhm.
wish goes, I don't feel like it. I'll go
Mhm.
tomorrow and I'll do arms and legs.
Mhm.
The commitment is rain or shine, I'm going, I made that commitment. And
Yeah.
that's what people misunderstand about success is that success isn't a let's just see how it goes. It is a commitment. And
Yeah.
then once you make the commitment, you find people that are doing successfully what it is that you want to do, and you study them and you find out what is it that they do. Are they running ads? All the big marketers right now that are killing it
Mhm.
and making millions of dollars are all running ads. So
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
that's your goal, you are going to have to run ads. So you're gonna
Yeah.
have to figure it out how to run ads.
Yeah.
If you are looking for a business model of somebody who is not running ads, but has a successful group program because they're speaking, and that's
Mhm.
how they find their people, then you need to emulate that, and then you need to travel a lot and start speaking a lot so that you can reverse engineer that model for you.
And it's scary to take that step too, like, realizing that you have to spend the money to make the money, which is such a cliche, but it is.
It is 100%.
It's such a cliche, and it's terrifying. Take it from a guy who's been doing his business for 16 years now, realizing that, like, look, that conference is where I need to go. Well, holy crap, that conference is $1,000.
At
It
least plus the travel, plus the hotel.
exactly, and then
You're
you look at
like,
what
you're in every time you go, it's 3 grand. The
I
flight, the
know.
hotel, conference admission, the food, the beverages, the hanging at the bar, talking to everybody.
Exactly, it adds up, you blink, and you're like, "Holy crap." I went to a conference, this was back in August for WordPress, and it was literally a $50 ticket 'cause subsidized by the organization. They subsidize it so
Yeah.
everyone can come. That's great, but still, I had to get down to DC from Philadelphia, had to get a hotel for a few days, had to eat out a few times, like, oh my god, before I was in a $50 ticket in $2,000. Like,
At least that's just the way it
ugh.
goes. So, I think you have to be very clear about
Mhm.
that as you go in. Every strategy costs money. Ads cost money, speaking costs money, traveling costs money, being in your office and having,
Guys, having
10
a light on
people
costs money.
that make phone calls cost money. So you're
Computer,
not
yeah,
gonna get
everything.
around it. It's just a question, what are you going to pick? And I think a lot of times,
Mm,
Seth, business owners, entrepreneurs, founders go, "Well, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing until it works, and then I'm gonna do the other thing." The problem is
mm,
if you keep doing what you're already doing, you're just doing more of that same thing unless you have to change one variable, like 1 plus
mhm.
1 is always 2.
Yeah,
So if you do 1 by 1, 1 times 1, or 1 divided by 1,
yeah,
or 1 plus 2, then something changes. But if you always do 1 plus 1, it will always remain the same. And this is this entrepreneurial insanity we talk about a lot. It's like, well, you
mhm.
keep doing the same thing. What do you expect? A miracle?
Yeah, and the miracles are hard to come by, exactly. So, what is the best thing in your mind being an entrepreneur versus going to the corporate world? I think, "Screw this, I'm gonna go corporate."
I think that you have to have a fire inside where there is something that you feel you need to do that is helping other people in some
Mhm,
sort or shape or form. I found that the most successful entrepreneurs are people that are really driven by this unseen force that will that pushes them so hard that they cannot but do this. Typically, my friend Jeff Hayes did
yeah,
a television series around it and wrote a book called The Entrepreneurial Brain. And
yeah,
I'm very thrilled that I'm featured in this series
yeah,
that is about to be published. And in the entrepreneurial brain, he says that you need to think about this from the perspective that the entrepreneurial brain, the data shows it has similar traits to somebody, to a drug addict or
love it.
or somebody who is mentally not quite there. Because
I love it.
or
It's so true.
like a serial killer or something.
Oh,
It shows
jeez.
it shows similarity. And why?
Yeah,
because
Be
it
nuts.
refuses to accept rules as facts. So the
Mhm.
entrepreneurial brain looks for to bend or break rules, which is what makes them innovate. Because
Yeah.
we are creating status quo in school.
Yeah. I love how you can well, the book and you compare it to being mentally unstable, because I think you kinda have to be a little
Mentally
mentally.
unstable to wanting to do this. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
why
Uh-huh.
like, why would you wanna do why would you wanna be on your own or have a c even worse, have people below you that you now are in charge of not only your own family, you're in charge of your work family and their families. I mean, you kinda have to have a little bit of nuts in you to do it, but there's something about it that I mean, I know for a fact there's something about it that doing what you want when you want is incredible.
Yeah, I agree, but it is like a drug because once you do it, you just can't stop. So yes, I do think that there is something in the brain, and it's only 4%.
I know.
4% of people who have that.
So what's the scariest thing about being an entrepreneur? What has kept you up at night?
I think the scariest thing about entrepreneurship is that everything always changes, and then you wonder if you're gonna figure out the thing fast enough to make the money or to make the impact. Because a lot of
Ooh,
times, by the time we get there, the market's already changed. And when you look at this from a COVID perspective, before COVID, I was doing a lot of speaking about women entrepreneurship and women leadership.
yeah,
It was a huge thing, equality, gender equality,
yeah,
equal pay. And then COVID came and it literally just the topic got wiped out.
yeah.
And then this backlash started with the Me Too movement, where then a lot of men couldn't wait to put their finger back at women. And now look at what's happening to women's rights all over the world. It's worse than it's ever been. I mean, we've gone back to before the 60s with some of
I
the
know, it was a 3-year pandemic did that. I mean, it didn't
yes.
directly do it, but I mean, inadvertently did it, like, it's insane the way things have just
No, it's not inadvertently at all. It
no?
is it is a group of people that are waiting for an opportunity in a moment where they can push out an ideology, and it keeps going in this wave. I have fought this fight. I cannot even tell you how many times I've been in this, and it seems to never end. And there comes a point where you say, "Look, I fought this for so long. If this next generation doesn't understand the pattern of how this works, I can't help you. I cannot
Yeah,
fight this for you. You're gonna have to fight for yourself at some point."
yeah. It's scary, and it's just not just that, it's a lot of things have changed because of the pandemic, and people had a chance to kind of noodle around and figure out how they're gonna subjugate people or how they're gonna advance people and all that stuff. So, on a more positive note, what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
I think it is a awareness that not all your decisions are going to be great decisions. That
Mm,
you are going to screw up, you are going to cover up what you don't know, you're gonna pretend you know something you don't know because that's what we have to do. But there
yeah,
comes a point where you really have to get people that are better at some things than you are, and you have to listen, especially to controversial viewpoints of what you think it is, because
mhm.
if otherwise you run the danger of creating a phantom avatar, a
Ooh,
phantom product for a phantom clientele, and you want to be hitting a good product market fit. So it is your idea, it'll always be your idea, but you want to get outside influences in to tell you the truth.
yeah. It's great. I think a lot of people that's, underrated and people don't realize that you gotta think about that.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I had a high ticket sales guy I hired, and the guy just made my blood boil.
Oh,
He
no.
he was so
Not
temperamental, let's put it this way.
yeah,
And ultimately, looking back from what happened at the beginning of the year and where we are right now, I think it's probably the best thing that ever happened because I couldn't stand it. It made me so upset that it then forced me to look at all the stuff that I was doing or not doing and rip all the band-aids off. And then I really saw what was happening. And as a result of it, we made a lot of changes, and we are now starting to see results coming in that are
yeah,
very, very promising. But that sometimes you have to do. Don't defend your opinion that you're right. That's not what entrepreneurship is about.
no,
Defend defend being right when the market tells you that you're right.
Have proof that you're right. Don't just throw it out
Prove it.
there.
Yeah, prove it.
Prove it, damn it. Prove it.
Prove it, damn
Exactly.
it.
So best place to find you online. If you like
Yeah,
to
so
hang
number
out.
1, yeah,
Okay.
hang out with me. Go, check out my podcast. It's called The Business
Yeah.
Growth Architect Show.
It's really
Or
good.
if you heard something where you go, "I need to speak to Beate," please mention this show. Go to uncoverysession.com,
Yeah.
so we can give you priority treatment while we are here.
Yeah.
Please make sure that wherever you pick up the Entrepreneur's Enigma, that you go there now, give Seth a 5-star review,
Oh,
and make an actual comment. And here's why the comment
it
is so
helps.
critical.
Yeah.
Yes, because the comment tells the algorithm there's engagement. Even if it's a green heart, that means you listen to the entire episode.
Yeah.
That will help this message to get out in front of more people.
Absolutely. The funny thing is I rank 59 in entrepreneurship in Kenya. So I'm very proud of that stat.
Here's a shout out to all the Kenyan listening to this.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So, and then also find you on where's your social media of choice? LinkedIn?
My social media, I'm literally on all of social media. You find me either under Beate Chelette or the Growth Architect. Drop into my DM, reach out. Just always make sure you mention the show so I know where you're coming from.
Exactly. Not coming out of the blue. Exactly.
Yes.
Well, Beate, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad we finally got to connect again, and we'll see everyone next time. That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.